you should never do in public. Never under any circumstances appear irresolute in public. Machiavelli wrote that nothing destroys a leader faster than the reputation for hesitation. In the public eye, an uncertain leader is not a thoughtful leader. They are a weak leader. Think about what indecision actually communicates to the people watching you. To your allies, it says, "I cannot protect you. I don't know what I'm doing. Find someone stronger." To your enemies, it says, "I am hesitating. Now is the time to strike." When you waver publicly, when you say, "I'm not sure," when your posture collapses, when your voice goes up at the end of a statement that should be a declaration, you are not showing humility. You are showing a crack in the armor, and predators look for cracks. Here is the counterintuitive truth that Machiavelli taught. A wrong decision, executed with total conviction, is often more powerful than a correct decision executed with doubt. Why? Because people follow certainty. Human beings are psychologically wired to attach themselves to whoever seems most confident about where they are going. It is a survival instinct from our tribal past. The uncertain chieftain gets the tribe killed. The decisive one, even if sometimes wrong, at least knows what direction to move. This does not mean you should be reckless. It means your internal deliberations must stay internal. The struggle happens behind closed doors. The decision, once made, is delivered to the world with iron confidence. The great leaders of history understood this. Churchill did not go on BBC radio and say, "Well, we might fight them on the beaches, I suppose, if things don't work out otherwise." He said, "We shall never surrender." That certainty, that absolute, unblinking conviction is what steadied millions of terrified people during history's darkest hour. But in your own life, practice this. When you speak publicly, eliminate the hedges. Remove "I think," "maybe," "possibly," and "I'm not sure but" from your public vocabulary. Speak in statements. Move with purpose. And when you make a decision, commit to it fully, at least until you are in private to reconsider. The world needs a North Star. Be one. Never publicly mock or openly disrespect what your audience holds sacred. Machiavelli observed something profound about human psychology. People will tolerate almost anything from a leader, poverty, hardship, even injustice, before they will tolerate disrespect for what they consider holy. And holy does not mean only religion. Sacred can mean the flag, the founding myths of a company, the memory of a beloved predecessor, the traditions of a community, the values a group has built their identity around. When you publicly attack these things, even if you are correct that they are flawed, outdated, or even harmful, you do not win an argument. You start a holy war, and holy wars cannot be won by logic. They run on emotion, on identity, on the primal human terror of losing the foundation on which you have built your sense of self. That Machiavelli's advice was almost paradoxical. If you want to change something sacred, you must first appear to revere it. He called this being a ceremonial participant. You attend the rituals. You use the traditional language. You invoke the old symbols with visible respect. Why? Because by appearing to love the tradition, you earn the moral authority to reform it. The public's guard comes down. They see you as one of them, not as an outsider trying to tear down what they loved. History's most successful reformers understood this perfectly. They did not arrive saying, "Everything you believe is wrong." They arrived saying, "I honor everything you have built, and I want to help it reach its highest potential." The lesson for your life: pick your battles with symbols carefully. You may privately find certain traditions absurd, but publicly attacking them earns you enemies with nothing to gain and everything to lose. Save your iconoclasm for private conversations with people you trust. In public, be the person who understands the culture. It costs you nothing, and it buys you everything. Never lose your emotional composure in public. Machiavelli's ideal ruler was what he called a master of the Stoic facade. Not a robot, not a cold, disconnected automaton, but a person whose public emotional state is always chosen, never reactive. Here is why this matters strategically. When you lose your temper in public, when you rage, panic, weep uncontrollably, or collapse under pressure, you hand your adversaries an invaluable gift. You give them a trigger. Now they know exactly which button to push to derail you. And they will push it, repeatedly, at the worst possible moments. That a person who cannot control their emotional state in public is a person whose strings can be pulled. And no one respects a puppet, even when they are the one holding the strings. Machiavelli understood that mystery is a form of power. When your reactions are unpredictable, when people cannot read your emotional state, they approach you with more caution, more respect. They cannot easily manipulate what they cannot easily predict. But the moment you become emotionally transparent in public, your power becomes readable. And readable power is manageable power. Consider the image of the great poker player. They may be holding the worst hand at the table, or the best. You cannot tell. That ambiguity forces every other player to act on incomplete information, and in that uncertainty lies the poker player's advantage. Now, a critical nuance here. Machiavelli did not say feel nothing. He said show nothing that you have not chosen to show. There is a profound difference between authentic leadership and emotional chaos. The best leaders can display warmth, passion, even righteous anger. But these are calculated expressions deployed at strategic moments for deliberate effect, not uncontrolled eruptions that reveal your vulnerabilities. Practice this. The next time something angers or upsets you in public, pause for 3 seconds before reacting. In those 3 seconds, choose your response. Do not react from instinct. Respond from intention. That 3-second pause is the space where your power lives. Never claim all the credit for a victory in public. Machiavelli understood that power is, at its core, a collective enterprise. Even the most singular genius operates within a system, a web of relationships, supporters, subordinates, and allies who make their success possible. When you publicly claim 100% of the credit, several destructive things happen simultaneously. First, you create what Machiavelli called internal enemies. The people who contributed, who worked late, who took risks, who believed in you, now feel invisible. That invisibility curdles into resentment. And resentful subordinates are not just disloyal, they become patient. They wait, they watch, and when you stumble, and everyone stumbles eventually, they are not there to catch you. Second, you set a trap for yourself. If you took all the glory for the win, the public will assign you all the blame for the loss. You cannot have one without the other. Third, and most subtly, publicly hoarding credit makes you appear insecure. Genuine greatness does not need to announce itself. The leader who says, "This was my achievement," signals anxiety. The leader who says, "My team made this possible," signals abundance. The quiet confidence of someone who doesn't need the validation. The great move, the truly powerful move, is to lift others publicly while everyone knows who the architect really was. No one watching the general point to his soldiers believes the general didn't win the battle. But by pointing to them, he creates an army of people who would die for him. In your life. Share credit visibly and generously. Name names. Celebrate contributions. The paradox is that the more credit you give away, the more authority accrues to you, because people see you as someone whose orbit they want to be in. Never explain your methods in public, only your results. Machiavelli warned against what we might today call over-explaining your process. When you publicly detail the tricks you used, the negotiations you navigated, the difficult decisions you made, you commit a profound strategic error. You make your power look manufactured, and manufactured power is fragile power. There is a reason that great stage magicians never explain their illusions. Not because the trick is impossible to understand, but because the moment it is explained, the magic dies. And with it, the awe. And with the awe, the authority. People want to believe in greatness. They want to feel that the leader in front of them has access to some rare combination of vision, instinct, and capability that they themselves lack. This belief, This almost mythological perception is the foundation of genuine authority. The moment you say, "Let me show you how I did it," you demystify yourself. Your success no longer looks like the inevitable march of a superior mind. It looks like a series of calculated maneuvers that any clever person could replicate. And once people believe they could do what you do, they start wondering why they are following you. Keep your strategy in the shadows. Let your results speak. When asked how you achieved something, speak in broad, almost philosophical terms about vision, about principles, about the team, not about the specific tactical moves. The world should see your outcomes as the product of an almost natural force, not a visible mechanism. Mystery creates gravity. Transparency, paradoxically, creates contempt. Never use your public platform to settle petty scores or mock fallen rivals. Machiavelli made a sharp distinction between what he called strategic cruelty, the deliberate, purposeful use of force to achieve a clear objective, and petty spite, which is revenge for its own sake. Strategic cruelty, however brutal, communicates to the public that you are a person driven by reason and order. Petty spite communicates something far more damaging, that you are driven by ego and emotion. When you use your power to publicly humiliate someone who has already lost, when you mock a defeated rival, when you air old grievances from a position of strength, the public does not cheer. They squirm because they see themselves in the fallen person, and they realize that if things were different, you would do the same to them. More practically, crowing over enemies signals that they matter to you, that they occupy space in your mind. And anything that occupies space in your mind has power over you. The cold, professional response to a defeated adversary is not cruelty. It is indifference. The most powerful message you can send to an enemy is that you barely think about them, that your attention is already on the next horizon. Reserve your public actions for objectives, not feelings. If you must be ruthless, and sometimes you must, do it cleanly, without visible relish, and move on. A surgeon doesn't smile while making incisions. Never be seen as someone who is controlled by flattery. Machiavelli devoted extensive sections of The Prince to this danger. He wrote that the courts of the powerful are filled with flatterers, people who will tell you exactly what you want to hear, precisely because it keeps them close to your favor. And here is the trap. It feels wonderful. Praise is intoxicating. Agreement is comforting. Being surrounded by people who believe you are brilliant and correct is one of the most seductive experiences available to a human being. And it is fatal because the public watches. And when they see you surrounded by yes men, when they observe that you reward agreement and punish dissent, they draw an inescapable conclusion. This person is living in a fantasy, and people do not trust their safety, their livelihoods, their futures, to a person living in a fantasy. Machiavelli argued that the most important quality a leader can project is the willingness to hear hard truths. The image of someone whose decisions are forged in the fire of reality, not the honey of praise. Someone who does not merely want to be told they are right. They want to actually be right, even when that requires uncomfortable information. Practically, this means several things. It means publicly crediting people who pushed back on you and were proven correct. It means visibly seeking critical feedback, not just tolerating it. It means creating an atmosphere where the people around you know that honesty, even difficult, career-risking honesty, is valued above comfort. The leader who is known for this attracts a different quality of advisor. And better counsel leads to better decisions, which leads to more power, which leads to more trust, be unbribable by praise. It is one of the rarest and most compelling traits a public figure can possess. Never be caught breaking your word without a compelling public justification. This is the one where Machiavelli's reputation for cynicism is most deserved and most misunderstood. He did write that a ruler is not bound by his promises if keeping them goes against his interests. That is the famous line people quote to call him immoral. But what they always leave out is what Machiavelli wrote immediately after he said. The manner in which you break the promise matters as much as the breaking itself. If you simply abandon a commitment and walk away, you are branded a traitor. Your word becomes worthless. And a leader whose word is worthless cannot negotiate, cannot form alliances, cannot inspire loyalty. They are politically finished. But, and this is the Machiavellian genius, if you break a promise while publicly framing it as a painful necessity forced upon you by circumstances beyond your control, you can sometimes emerge with your integrity intact. I pledged to do X, but what I could not have foreseen was Y. My oath to the people's safety supersedes my earlier commitment. This is not a choice I make lightly, and history will judge whether I was right. Notice what that framing does. It positions you not as a liar, but as a tragic figure grappling with impossible circumstances. The public, which is almost always emotionally generous toward leaders who appear to suffer their decisions, can accept this, even respect it. The lesson is not lie strategically. The lesson is, if you must ever fall short of a commitment, you have a responsibility to frame that failure in a way that preserves the public's trust in your character. Accountability, expressed well, can actually strengthen your reputation rather than destroy it. What you must never do is break your word casually, without ceremony, without explanation, as if it simply doesn't matter. Because the public is watching, and they remember. Never, under any circumstances, allow yourself to be seen as contemptible. Machiavelli drew a crucial distinction that most people miss. He wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, but it is worst of all to be despised." Note the precise language. Not hated, not feared, despised. You can survive being feared. Fear at least carries respect. You can survive being misunderstood, even disliked. But contempt, the feeling that you are someone to be laughed at, pitted, or simply not taken seriously, is a death sentence for your authority. What makes someone contemptible in Machiavelli's framework? Being seen as fickle, constantly changing positions without apparent principle, being seen as frivolous, treating serious matters as entertainment, being seen as cowardly, backing down from every challenge, being seen as small, getting drawn into petty squabbles beneath your station. Each of these qualities signals to the public the same thing. This person does not have a serious grasp of their own power. They are not playing the game at the level they claim to be. And once that perception takes root, once people feel that they can laugh at you, or feel sorry for you, or simply not bother with you, you cannot recover. You cannot command people who pity you. You cannot lead people who find you ridiculous. This is why Machiavelli spoke so insistently about what he called gravitas, a heaviness of presence, a weight of character that surrounds every action and word you produce. Gravitas is not arrogance. Arrogance is insecurity wearing a loud costume. Gravitas is the quiet, unshakable sense of someone who knows who they are, what they want, and why it matters. The IT shows in how you hold your body, in how you respond to insults, or don't respond, which is often more powerful, in the words you choose and the ones you refuse to say, in what you treat as worthy of your time and what you do not. Even your enemies, especially your enemies, should look at you and be forced to say, "Whatever else I think of them, this is a person I must take seriously." That is the ultimate goal of public image. Not to be loved, not to be agreed with, to be taken seriously. Build that, protect that, and never let anything, pride, temper, vanity, or laziness, take it from you.